I've stood at the edge of one deadly volcano. Now I'll show you that one and others that could soon reshape our world. Beneath the stunning geysers and steaming hot springs of Yellowstone National Park lies one of the most powerful forces on Earth. Not just a regular volcano, but a supervolcano, a geological monster capable of reshaping the entire planet if it ever erupts again. Most tourists see Old Faithful and think it's all just pretty scenery. But right under their feet is a caldera that stretches over 30 miles wide, the collapsed remains of a volcano so massive it once covered half the US in ash. Yellowstone has erupted 3 times in the past 2.1 million years. Each time, it left behind deep scars in the Earth's crust and layers of ash that scientists have found as far away as the Gulf of Mexico. And here's the twist. Geologists know it's still active. The ground at Yellowstone is breathing, literally rising and falling due to magma movement. Hundreds of small earthquakes shake the area every year, and in the last decade, swarms of quakes have become more frequent. What makes Yellowstone especially dangerous isn't just its size, it's the domino effect it could trigger. A full-blown eruption would send ash clouds into the sky, blocking sunlight and dropping global temperatures. This isn't science fiction, it's been modeled and studied by experts around the world. Food chains could break, travel could grind to a halt. It would make the ash cloud from Iceland's Eyjafjallajökull in 2010 look like a campfire. The magma chamber under Yellowstone is like a 2-layered cake. 1 part molten rock, 1 part semi-solid mush. And scientists recently discovered that the lower part of the chamber holds much more magma than previously thought. That doesn't mean it's going to blow tomorrow, but it does mean there's more fuel than expected. Still, there's no need to panic. Agencies like the USGS monitor Yellowstone constantly. But it's one of the few places on Earth where things could go from peaceful to apocalyptic without much warning. Think of it as a sleeping dragon. Silent now, but not forever. Just like in those epic moments in The Lord of the Rings when something ancient stirs underground, Yellowstone is real and it's being watched closely. And if it does erupt again, it won't just be America's problem, it'll be everyone's. Mount Nyiragongo doesn't just erupt, it unleashes rivers of fire that move faster than anything most people think lava can do. Located in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, this volcano towers above the city of Goma, home to over 2 million people. What makes Nyiragongo so dangerous isn't just its size, it's the lava itself. It's unusually low in silica, which makes it extremely fluid. When it erupts, it doesn't crawl, it rushes, reaching speeds of over 60 miles per hour on steep slopes. The volcano erupted in 1977 and again in 2002, and both times the lava reached Goma in minutes. It swallowed entire neighborhoods, split the city's airport in 2, and sent ash clouds high into the sky. The 2002 eruption forced hundreds of thousands to flee. And in recent years, volcanic activity has been increasing again. In 2021, the lava came roaring back with little warning, and cracks even opened under city streets. What's especially worrying is that Nyiragongo's lava lake, one of the largest on Earth, drained rapidly before the last eruption, signaling pressure buildup beneath the surface. Scientists say the plumbing system beneath the volcano is complex and not fully understood, which makes predictions incredibly difficult. This isn't some remote peak out in the wild. Nyiragongo is right above a major city, and its eruptions leave little time to react. It's like a loaded cannon pointed straight at Goma, beautiful, hypnotic, but terrifyingly unpredictable. Just a short drive from the bustling streets of Naples lies a massive volcanic system that very few tourists know about. It's not Vesuvius, it's Campi Flegrei, or the Burning Fields. This isn't a single mountain, but a vast supervolcano made up of craters, boiling lakes, steam vents, and underground pressure chambers. And it's been showing troubling signs of life. Over the last few years, Campi Flegrei has been quietly rising. The ground level has increased by over 3 feet in some areas since the 1980s, a phenomenon called bradyseism, caused by magma forcing its way upward. In 2023 and again more recently, scientists recorded swarms of earthquakes and unusual gas emissions. A new study even suggested that the crust in this region may have reached a critical pressure point. The last major eruption of Campi Flegrei happened nearly 500 years ago, but the most powerful one occurred 39,000 years ago and left a crater so large that it's now mostly hidden under Naples itself. That eruption may have even affected global climate and early human migration in Europe. Today, over 1.5 million people live directly on top of this restless giant. The potential impact of an eruption here isn't just regional, it could disrupt European air traffic, blanket southern Italy in ash, and push toxic gases into the atmosphere. Think of it as the European version of Yellowstone, just far more densely populated. The volcano isn't erupting yet, but scientists agree it's getting closer to a tipping point. The pressure is building both below ground and among researchers trying to predict what happens next. Mount Rainier might not erupt as often as others in the Pacific Northwest, but when it does, it could cause devastation on a massive scale. Towering over Seattle and Tacoma at more than 14,000 feet, this glacier-covered volcano is a silent threat. It's not the ash or lava that makes it so terrifying, it's the lahars. Lahars are fast-moving mud flows made of ash, melted ice, and rock. And Rainier has more ice and snow than any other volcano in the lower 48 states. If that ice melts suddenly during an eruption, it could send huge walls of debris barreling down the mountain's river valleys at highway speeds. Some of those valleys lead directly into towns, suburbs, and even industrial zones. The last known eruption was in the 1800s, but Rainier has had several large lahars in the past that left thick deposits miles from the mountain. One of the worst-case scenarios would involve a nighttime eruption, giving little time for evacuation. That's why scientists have placed Rainier at the top of the U.S. volcano threat assessment, even higher than more active volcanoes like Kilauea or Mount St. Helens. Thousands live in what geologists call lahar hazard zones, and early warning systems are in place, but they only give minutes of notice if something goes wrong. It might look calm now, snow-capped and serene, but Rainier is far from harmless. If it erupts, it won't just be dramatic, it'll be one of the most costly natural disasters in U.S. history. Taal Volcano doesn't just sound unique, it looks like something from a sci-fi movie. A lake with a volcano inside it, and inside that volcano, another lake. It's one of the most complex and unusual volcanoes on Earth. But behind its beauty is a history of sudden, explosive eruptions, and signs suggest it's not done yet. Located just 30 miles south of Manila, a city with over 13 million people, Taal is small in size but large in danger. Its eruption in 2020 sent ash columns several miles into the sky and grounded flights across the region. Volcanic lightning sparked within the clouds and thousands had to evacuate. The eruption was short but powerful, and it came with almost no warning. Taal's location inside a lake, combined with its shallow magma system, makes it especially unpredictable. When magma rises quickly underwater, it can cause violent steam-driven explosions like a pressure cooker with a faulty lid. That's what makes Taal so risky. The combination of water and magma can lead to phreatomagmatic blasts, which are difficult to forecast. In recent years, ground deformation and gas emissions have increased again. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology has issued multiple alerts as the volcano shows continued signs of unrest. It's being watched closely, but like many volcanoes with explosive pasts, it doesn't always give much warning. From the air, it might look peaceful, a small island inside a blue lake. But under the surface, Taal is bubbling. And if it erupts again, the impact will be felt not just across Luzon, but possibly far beyond. Mount Fuji is more than a mountain, it's a national icon. Featured in art, anime, and countless travel brochures, it draws millions of visitors each year. But beneath the symmetry and snow-capped beauty lies a potential disaster waiting to happen. Fuji is classified as an active stratovolcano, and its last eruption happened over 300 years ago, in 1707. That event, known as the Hoei eruption, didn't send lava but instead choked the sky with ash that reached as far as Edo, now Tokyo. In modern times, that much ash could shut down transport, damage buildings, and cause months of disruption to Japan's economic and urban centers. Seismic activity around Fuji has been slowly increasing. After the 2011 Tohoku earthquake, the same one that triggered the Fukushima disaster, scientists noticed unusual changes in pressure around Fuji's magma chamber. Some models even suggest the fault systems near Fuji are under stress, meaning the volcano might be closer to erupting than most people think. What makes Fuji especially risky is its location. Over 35 million people live within a few hours of the volcano, including Tokyo and Yokohama. If Fuji were to erupt today, the ash fallout could paralyze one of the busiest metropolitan areas on Earth. Despite its serene look, Fuji is still active, just dormant for now. It's the kind of volcano that waits quietly for centuries, then roars to life when no one expects it. Japan has one of the best monitoring systems in the world, but even the best systems can't stop magma once it starts to rise. Just 45 miles from Mexico City stands a volcano that's constantly letting the world know it's alive. Popocatépetl, often nicknamed El Popo, is one of the most active volcanoes in the world. It's been erupting off and on for over 25 years, and lately, the activity has been intensifying. Plumes of ash regularly rise from its crater, sometimes reaching several miles into the sky. Ashfall has hit towns and cities across central Mexico, coating cars, rooftops, and crops. Flights get delayed, schools are shut down, and seismic activity under the volcano has been climbing again. Popocatépetl isn't just puffing smoke, it has a history of large explosive eruptions. The volcano sits on a subduction zone where the Cocos Plate dives beneath the North American Plate, fueling its magma system. When conditions are right, it can erupt with pyroclastic flows, deadly avalanches of hot gas and rock that race down slopes at incredible speeds. Over 25 million people live within its potential impact zone, including the entire Mexico City metro area. Authorities have already created evacuation plans and watch the volcano around the clock, but the margin for error is small when activity picks up fast, and it has several times recently. What makes Popocatépetl so dangerous is exactly what makes it fascinating. It's always active, always shifting, and always just one event away from becoming a major disaster. The name means smoking mountain in Nahuatl, and it's still earning that name every single day. Cumbre Vieja La Palma looks like a peaceful island in the Canary Chain, off the coast of northwest Africa. But deep within its slopes lies a threat that has grabbed the attention of geologists and oceanographers worldwide. The volcano known as Cumbre Vieja erupted in 2021, tearing through neighborhoods, destroying thousands of homes, and covering miles of land in lava. But as destructive as that eruption was, it might have revealed something even more alarming. During that eruption, scientists confirmed what they had long suspected. Part of the western flank of the volcano is unstable. It had already shifted during a previous eruption in 1949, and recent data shows that large sections of land could slide into the ocean under the right conditions. If that ever happened, the resulting landslide could send a massive wave, a mega tsunami, racing across the Atlantic at jetliner speeds. Computer models suggest that if the flank collapses, the wave could reach the US East Coast, parts of South America, and even Western Europe. Of course, this is a worst-case scenario and not guaranteed, but the potential is there. The 2021 eruption also showed how quickly things can escalate. Fissures opened, vents multiplied, and lava moved faster than anyone expected. Cumbre Vieja isn't currently erupting, but it's far from quiet. Seismic activity continues beneath the island. Monitoring stations are active 24/7, and scientists are still assessing the long-term impact of the last eruption. The real danger isn't just lava, it's what happens if the mountain lets go and takes part of the island with it. On the island of Bali, known for its beaches and temples, Mount Agung towers over the landscape like a sleeping king. But in 2017, that king stirred. After more than 50 years of silence, Mount Agung roared back to life, sending ash clouds over 13,000 feet high and closing Bali's international airport for days. Flights were canceled, tourists evacuated, and ash fell like gray snow. Agung's most devastating eruption happened in 1963, and it was one of the largest volcanic events of the 20th century. That eruption lasted nearly a year and caused damage across the entire island. When activity spiked again decades later, volcanologists rushed to the scene. They detected deep magma movement, increasing tremors and swelling of the mountain. These are all signs that pressure was building fast. What makes Agung dangerous isn't just its power, it's how unpredictable it is. The volcano rises steeply and violently from the surrounding land, which means that eruptions can produce pyroclastic flows, searing clouds of gas and ash that surge down its slopes with terrifying force. The volcano also sits close to populated towns and farmlands, putting thousands within reach if things escalate. Today, Agung remains under constant observation. Minor eruptions still happen, and gas vents continue to release pressure from inside. But experts warn that a larger event is possible. It's not about if, it's about when. And based on recent patterns, Agung has not finished speaking. Mauna Loa doesn't just dominate the big island of Hawaii, it is the island. Stretching over 5,000 square kilometers, it's the largest volcano on Earth by volume. And while it's erupted many times before, its most recent eruption in late 2022 reminded the world just how powerful it still is. After nearly 40 years of quiet, Mauna Loa sent lava fountains high into the air, lighting up the night sky and drawing global attention. What makes Mauna Loa so formidable isn't just its size, it's how fast it erupts. Its lava flows are highly fluid and can travel miles in just hours. Past eruptions have reached the ocean and crossed highways, cutting off roads and threatening communities. One of its largest flows in 1950 reached the coast in under 3 hours. The recent eruption didn't reach populated areas, but it came dangerously close to critical infrastructure, including the Daniel K. Inouye Highway. It also put scientists on edge. Pressure beneath the volcano had been increasing for years. Now that the pressure has partially released, experts are asking, was that it or just a warning shot? Mauna Loa shares the Big Island with another active volcano, Kilauea, and the two seem to be connected by deep systems underground. Activity in one can influence the other. This dual system makes the region incredibly complex and harder to predict. Mauna Loa is quiet again for now, but history shows it never stays quiet for long. When it does erupt, it does so with force and with speed. Mount Etna might be the most active volcano in Europe, but its activity is so frequent that people have gotten used to it. Lava flows, ash columns, and small eruptions happen so often that Sicilian towns nearby barely flinch. Tourists still climb its slopes, and locals go about daily life under the shadow of this massive mountain. But beneath that rhythm lies a much bigger threat. Etna is one of the most closely monitored volcanoes in the world, and for good reason. It doesn't just erupt vertically, it shifts sideways. The entire structure is slowly sliding toward the sea, just over ½ an inch per year. That might not sound like much, but it means the whole volcano is under mechanical stress. Over time, cracks deepen, pressure builds, and the risk of a major structural collapse increases. Scientists have run simulations of what might happen if part of Etna were to break off into the Mediterranean. The results are dramatic. Landslides, shockwaves, and the potential for tsunamis that could reach nearby coasts. Etna has already produced flank collapses in the past, and geological records show this type of event isn't as rare as it seems. In 2021 and again in 2023, Etna produced some of its most powerful lava fountains in decades, launching glowing material nearly ½ a mile into the air. Ash reached as far as mainland Italy, and airports were shut down multiple times. Etna may not go silent anytime soon, but the concern isn't whether it will erupt, it's how unpredictable those eruptions might become if deeper instability grows. For now, Etna keeps rumbling, puffing, and glowing in the night, but experts agree this is a volcano you never stop watching. In the Sunda Strait between Java and Sumatra, something is rising, and it's rising fast. It's called Anak Krakatoa, which means child of Krakatoa, and it was born from the ruins of one of the most devastating eruptions in history. In 1883, Krakatoa exploded with such force that it blew apart the island, generated massive tsunamis, and changed the climate worldwide. Now its offspring is following in its footsteps. Anak Krakatoa first emerged from the sea in 1927. Since then, it has grown steadily, sometimes by several feet a year. But it's not just growing, it's erupting constantly. In December 2018, the volcano partially collapsed into the ocean, triggering a deadly tsunami without any major warning signs. The event shocked scientists because it happened without a massive explosive eruption, just a sudden collapse. That collapse reduced the volcano's height by over 600 feet, but in the years since, Anak Krakatoa has rebuilt itself, spitting out lava, ash, and steam in regular bursts. By 2024, it had reached nearly 1,000 feet above sea level again, and it shows no signs of slowing down. The real danger here lies in the volcano's structure. It's unstable, steep, and surrounded by water. If another collapse occurs, especially during a period of eruption, it could send another wave racing across the strait. And nearby coastlines are heavily populated. In the 2018 event, most people had no time to react. This volcano is being watched by satellite, drone, and ground sensors. But like its infamous parent, it has a reputation for surprises. Anak Krakatoa is no longer a baby. It's an adolescent volcano with serious power, and its next move could once again catch the world off guard. On the border of North Korea and China stands a remote and majestic mountain called Paektu or Changbaeshan, depending on which side you're on. It rises over 9,000 feet high, crowned by a deep lake called Heaven Lake, formed by a massive volcanic explosion long ago. But behind its peaceful surface, Mount Paektu holds a secret. It's one of the least understood and most mysterious supervolcanoes on the planet. In 946 AD, Paektu erupted in one of the largest volcanic events in recorded history, rivaling even the biggest eruptions from Yellowstone or Tambora. Ash from that eruption has been found in Japan, over 600 miles away. Despite its violent past, Pektu has remained quiet for centuries. But lately, that silence has started to crack. Between 2002 and 2005, hundreds of earthquakes were detected around the mountain. Local reports suggested changes in water levels at Heaven Lake and a rise in gas emissions. Chinese and North Korean scientists began working together, a rare collaboration, to monitor what was happening underground. Since then, activity has calmed down, but the potential hasn't gone away. What makes Pektu difficult to monitor is its location. Access is restricted, and much of the research relies on seismic readings and remote sensors. But what scientists do know is that the volcano's magma chamber is large and still active. If Pektu were to erupt again at a scale even close to 946, it could send ash into flight paths across East Asia, disrupt trade, and impact millions of people in multiple countries. Everyone knows the story of Pompeii, the Roman city, frozen in time when Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD. But what many forget is that Vesuvius isn't just a relic of history. It's still active, still dangerous, and still right next to one of Europe's most densely populated cities. Naples, with more than 3 million people in the metro area, lies in the shadow of this volcano. And Vesuvius has erupted more than 30 times since that infamous event. Its last major eruption was in 1944 during World War II, when lava and ash poured down its slopes and buried villages once again. Since then, the mountain has been eerily quiet, and that's exactly why scientists are concerned. The longer Vesuvius stays silent, the more pressure builds. Deep beneath its cone is a volatile mix of gases and magma. It's not just about the eruption itself, it's about the speed. Vesuvius is known for Plinian eruptions, fast, explosive, and packed with pyroclastic surges that move like a wall of fire and ash. What makes this volcano especially risky is the red zone, an area where an eruption would leave little chance for escape. Hundreds of thousands live there. The Italian government has developed detailed evacuation plans, but with limited warning time, a large-scale eruption would be difficult to manage. Vesuvius is monitored constantly by Italian geologists, and every tremor is logged. But it's not just about watching, it's about understanding that this isn't just a historic monument. It's a living volcano with a violent past, and all the signs that it could do it again. That's about it. Which of these volcanoes will erupt first? Share your predictions in the comments. And don't forget to check out our other videos.